Why would military generals, a Cuban dictator, and special operators choose to wear two watches at the same time? Does double wristing provide genuine utility for the military and national security, or is this nothing more than a flex? In this video, we explore the misunderstood phenomenon of double wristing. Watches of Espionage is curated by a former CIA case officer with a passion for timepieces. On the WOE YouTube channel, we explore the intersection of watches and the military, intelligence, and national security. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to be informed when we release new videos. Today, the practice of wearing two watches at the same time, either one on each wrist or two on the same wrist, is often undertaken by athletes and celebrities as an ostentatious display of wealth, an indication that someone has "f you" money. Why rock one diamond-encrusted AP when you can wear two, right? But long before the advent of smartphones, watches were largely used for their intended purpose, to tell time. Back in the day, if you were double wristing, it would have been for a good reason. In theory, the legitimate reason for double wristing was a need to think, plan, or lead in multiple locations at the same time. There are, of course, GMT watches with this functionality built in, but for some, wearing two watches provides a more intuitive, at-a-glance method for managing complex operations across time zones. But is this really the case, or are leaders double wristing as a form of messaging to their constituents or the international community? To understand double wristing both then and now, let's take a closer look at some historical figures who were notorious for living the two-watch lifestyle. For more on CIA analysis of watches worn by world leaders, check out our past videos linked in the description below. One of the best-known examples of double wristing in a military context is Norman Schwarzkopf, aka Stormin Norman, the four-star general and commander of U.S. Central Command, or CENTCOM, from 1988 until 1991. Stormin Norman famously directed coalition forces during the First Gulf War and was known as a hard-driving military leader, easy to piss off, and for being an OG double wrister. For years, many believed Schwarzkopf's watches were a two-tone Rolex and a Seiko diver with a red and blue Pepsi bezel. But the devil is in the details, and closer examination revealed the supposed Rolex was actually yet another Seiko, the Toyota of watches. I always wore two watches during the war. The one on my left arm was set on Saudi Arabian time, and the Seiko on my right arm was set on Eastern Standard Time. That way, I could quickly glance at my watches and instantly know the time in both Saudi Arabia and Washington, D.C. Did the general really need two watches when a GMT watch or basic mental math would have done the job? We can't help but wonder whether the double wristing was more down to another important role played by timepieces: communication. Schwarzkopf was the face of the Gulf conflict to the American people, allies, and Iraqis. He likely spent considerable time thinking about how he was perceived by each group. Schwarzkopf's double wristing tendencies arguably supported his persona as a warrior diplomat who understood the importance of time while being intensely focused on accomplishing his mission. Another of history's most important figures known for double wristing is Fidel Castro, the infamous revolutionary and communist leader who served as the Prime Minister and President of Cuba from 1959 to 2008. Castro routinely wore multiple watches, sometimes on the same wrist, and was known as a dedicated Rolex fanboy long before it was cool. During the late 1950s and early 1960s, Castro wore several Rolex models, including an early Submariner, a GMT Master, and a Day Date. In a highly publicized 1963 meeting with Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev in the Kremlin, Castro wore both his Day Date and his GMT Master on his left wrist. According to lore, he set the watches to Havana, Moscow, and Washington, D.C.'s time zones, with the third being managed by the GMT Master's additional hand. Similar to Schwarzkopf, we assess with medium confidence this was just as much a strategic decision as it was practical. We can only speculate what a socialist and Marxist-Leninist leader was trying to accomplish with this horological display, but we can assume Castro's double wristing was no accident. One of the most brazen acts of double-wristing in the WOE community is the OG Moon Man himself, Buzz Aldrin. In a picture posted on Twitter, Aldrin is seen eating a casual breakfast of steak, eggs, and avocado while wearing 3 watches. While we believe there are legitimate reasons to wear more than one watch, Buzz Aldrin wearing 3 watches is nothing but a flex, further evidenced by the fact that they aren't just any watches, but a NASA-issued Omega Skywalker X33, an Omega X33 Mars timer, and the Apollo 11 50th anniversary Speedmaster that has his image in the sub-register at 9 o'clock. Gangster. Aldrin is a West Point grad and a fighter pilot who flew 66 combat missions and shot down 2 MiG-15 aircraft during the Korean War. Buzz also was the second person to walk on the moon on 21 July 1969 after mission commander Neil Armstrong. In short, he can wear his watches any way he wants.
This one's a moon pie. I walked on the moon. What have you done?
Arguably, his most notable accomplishment was when a conspiracy theorist called the then 72-year-old Aldrin a coward, a liar, and a thief. Without a moment's hesitation, Buzz responded with the old knuckle sandwich. As the kids say, he found out. With the advent of smartwatches, the legacy of double-wristing continues, adapted for the new digital age. Another general officer known for his 2-watch approach is Scott Miller, who previously led the Army's Tier 1 Special Operations Unit before commanding Joint Special Operations Command, or JSOC, starting in 2016. Miller is known for wearing a Christopher Ward C60 Trident 600 GMT with a red bezel, but he has also been known to double-wrist like a modern-day Schwarzkopf. Prior to the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan, Miller wore his trademark Christopher Ward on his left wrist with what appears to be a Fitbit or something similar on his right. Since retirement, Miller has also been seen wearing an Omega Seamaster Diver 300 on one wrist and a smartwatch on the other. This is a trend we've noticed more and more among military members, and especially SpecOps. An analog or simple digital watch on one wrist with a smartwatch on the other, making it possible for an operator to show their allegiance to the use your tools lifestyle while still receiving the health benefits of a smartwatch. We've discussed the counterintelligence risks of smartwatches, and double-wristing a smartwatch with an analog watch allows for simply removing the smartwatch when entering a skiff or other secure facility, with the analog watch or a non-connected digital watch like a G-Shock continuing to provide the time of day. For certain members of the NatSec community, wearing 2 watches, especially when one of them is a smartwatch, may make sense. We're not here to tell General Miller he's doing it wrong. The legitimacy of double-wristing is well established, but that doesn't mean everyone should get up in the morning and strap on 2 watches. For Norman Schwarzkopf or Fidel Castro, double-wristing potentially added an element of utility, but we'd argue their 2-watch approach to life was as much about communicating authority and legitimacy to their followers as much as anything else. At Watches of Espionage, we don't make the rules. If you want to double-wrist a Rolex and an Apple Watch, or any other combination of watches, do your thing. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, drop a comment, and hit the bell icon to be informed when we release new videos. For even more, check out our website, watchesofespionage.com, for more content, as well as our collection of watch straps and other purpose-built tools designed for our community. Until next time, happy hunting.